Okay.
I think your point is very well taken relative to the fact that you were not informed about the fact that there was a problem until just recently.
Thank you.
Because we have the same concern. We weren't told. So you found out when I found out.
So you didn't know before Mr. Mays came here that there was $2 million
and you know,
requested?
that's absolutely correct. And interestingly enough, as Mr. Bonaparte pointed out, we have a seeker process. The seeker process is to notify the city that we plan to be a lead agency and that we have certain assumptions about things, including the sewer lines. And that was all stated in Part 1. It's during that time when the seeker process goes to the city that they have an absolute requirement and expectation to notify us of any problems that could occur or be of concern to the city at that point in time. We were never notified.
Can I ask another follow-up question? The legal analysis that you gave when you said that it would be an unconstitutional gift for the city of Middletown, you made that comment the same night that Mayor DeStefano came and told it. So did you not have preparation with the attorneys on getting that analysis?
That's a general knowledge statement. As superintendent of schools, I know that we can't do that.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Mr. Perino.
The fact remains, regardless of all these communications, that we do have a problem. And it would seem to me that we try to work it out. We try to sit down with the, all of us try to sit down with either the Common Council, the mayor, or whoever the mayor appoints, and we try to work this out.
Mr. Perino, with all due respect, I can only do what I'm authorized to do. And as I mentioned earlier, I've been told emphatically by the person that signs the authorizations, they're not going to authorize it. Well, I can sit down all I want, but if the gentleman has already told me that this kind of work off-site is not going to be authorized, I have to move forward. You're absolutely right.
Who's the gentleman?
Carl Thurnell. He's the head of facilities and planning with the State Education Department. So, we didn't build it into our budget because we were never notified of it, John.
But as somebody once said in a movie, and I won't mention in a series, I'm not going to mention the series because then I'll be pigeonholed or characterized. There's always a compromise someplace. And I don't know where this is now. Obviously, if there's no compromise, then we have a sharp legal point that'll have to be settled, and I hope we can avoid that going to taking this matter and litigating this matter. That means more delay and more money. Now, I know we have the Mayor DeStefano and Mr. Tawil and Mr. Massey, Alderman Massey, in the audience tonight. I don't know if they're able or they can address this, but it seems to me we can't, look, I see people shaking their head. We just can't go on like this. As I've said many times, the city and the school district, we must cooperate. You can't have a good district without the city, and you can't have a good city without the school district. So we sit up here, and you can't be at loggerheads with the city. It's just not going to work. Now, I've also heard, well, we can move the project out of Middletown. Then, again, where are you going to hook up? Because I believe, unless I'm wrong, that Manhagan and Maple Hill are hooked into the Middletown system. I could be wrong on that, but I don't think so. So there it is. I think it's a foolish idea to talk about moving this project. We either have to come to some sort of an agreement, and if we can't do that, then it's a legal process.
Can the mayor speak to this?
John, I have a fiduciary responsibility to this district, don't I?
So I understand this, and I'm not.
No.
I'm not arguing with you, Dr. Eastwood, about that.
But I can't make up rules as I go along. I cannot make up rules. And we all know that if I even gave the impression of that. There'd be an audit, an investigation, or something going on. I'm not doing it. John, I'm telling you right now, I don't have the legal authority to do that. Now, if the Board of Education wants to direct me to violate that fiduciary responsibility, so be it.
To engage in
Well,
conversation.
we can't do that.
Right.
Because then
Well, that's my point, John. So if the rules are X, I have to abide by X. And if I'm being told by the people that authorize it, no, I don't have any right or authority to do anything else.
Again, we know the problem, but now we're looking for a solution to this.
Well,
That's the problem. I mean, we know the problem.
Thank you, Mr. Perino. Mrs. Isaacs, floor is yours. Mrs. Perkins.
Thank you. We need a solution, but ignoring how we have the problem, why it is that we're sitting here discussing this problem at such an urgent time, if this building must begin immediately, is a very important matter. I am puzzled. The board, as Mr. Paul has pointed out, the board was not included in knowledge of these emails. We did not know that Mr. Bonaparte, who works for RSA Architects, was communicating, or Mr. Scott, that they were communicating with Mr. Tweel. We are now sitting here. The board ultimately is, we're hearing, the authority, which is true under New York State law. However, if the board doesn't know that there is an issue going back and forth over 2 years' time, then how can the board possibly take an action and be held responsible for it? So what I hear is that somebody else is responsible, but if the superintendent, who is the one to communicate with the board, has not been privileged to these communications and emails from Mr. Bonaparte and the City of Middletown, I can't even imagine how we can possibly go forward on another $63 million project if this is the template of how all of these important matters are being taken care of. This is an issue. This is an issue that is ongoing here. The board is out of the loop. The board has been out of the loop repeatedly, and now we're here being told that lots of communications have happened. Now we have to solve this. How are we to solve it? Should have been solved before. How are we also to solve it if we are in the City of Middletown? The relationship that the board and the superintendent and everyone here has with the City of Middletown is paramount, and what we had recently was the actual mayor of the city insulted here at this board meeting. I don't know how this will be resolved, but I do know that if everyone wants to pretend that how it got to this point at this late state is something to just push under the rug, that we'll just move forward from here, bygones be bygones, that's big trouble for us and for the district. So I would like to know how it is that Mr. Bonaparte did not communicate to Dr. Eastwood, if that's the case, or that Tom Scott, who actually is an employee under the authority of Dr. Eastwood, that those were not communicated. I would also like to know how it is that 2 years have gone by and that Dr. Eastwood has not communicated to the board that he hasn't heard anything on anything as essential and basic as sewer and water. The issue of sewer and water, and I'm only here 11 years, I know that there's been an issue about sewer and water in the City of Middletown forever. So that following up on that and making sure that all those pieces are put together seems to me something that would be kind of taken for granted, that it would have to be kept on top of and carefully negotiated out. And now we have to negotiate, and I would hope, I do remember that there were emails that came out very recently with regard to the threat of lawsuits. We have a solution to come up with. We don't need to have lawsuits being threatened from our district to the city. I don't think the city's threatened us. I hope that we can find a solution, but I hope that also that out of this, how could this happen? That everybody in this district wakes up to realize that this board has not been kept in the loop on practically anything, and I can write exactly what's been missing, but yet we are blamed for what is done, what is not done.
And
thank you.
I have a response to that, of course. It's kind of interesting how it gets twisted around. I thought we just said a few minutes ago that we weren't told of the problem by the city. So that then becomes my fault? You can look at the timeline. We have all this correspondence. Isn't that the point, Tim? We had all this correspondence, and they didn't tell us. They have a formal process, and they didn't tell us. But that's our fault?
Please answer my question, though.
Please. Ms. Perkins, you had your 4 minutes. The superintendent is responding. Ms. Perkins, you are out of line. You had your 4 minutes uninterrupted. Thank you.
No, Mr. Paul's questions were answered.
Excuse me.
My questions to be answered.
They are, if you would stop interrupting. Thank you.
So that's it. I mean, the point that Tim and I are trying to make here, folks, is that you're absolutely right. Take a look at that timeline. Look how much time there was. Look at the formal seeker process when we're supposed to be formally notified of any problems. Look at it. We were not told. We were not told. We didn't know something and kept it from the board. We were not told. That's the facts. Those are the facts. So, I mean, we can twist it any way we want for the agenda, but the fact of the matter is we were not told. We couldn't tell the Board of Education anything. If we had been notified, this board would have been notified immediately. You can look at all the correspondence in that document that he is talking about. That's general management. We were moving forward.